Matt, tell me, as we look ahead to when he's going to be sentenced, give us the date, please, and what exactly we can expect to happen when that hearing rolls around.
Yeah, so I have to let you know that I cannot hear you, but I think that you asked me what's next. So we head now to the sentencing phase, which is scheduled for later this month on July 23rd at the courthouse here behind me. It's going to be another emotional and very busy day. Bryan Kohberger will no longer be allowed to wear street clothes now that he's no longer cloaked in the presumption of innocence, since the trial has now been vacated here. And it's going to be a long day with those victims and their families being able to make those victim impact statements. We're going to hear from each of the family members on the 23rd. And then, it'll be up to Kohberger if we're going to actually be able to hear more from him and the motive behind these killings and if he has anything to say to the court. But the sentence is already on the table, which is only going to be those life sentences, consecutive, one after the other, along with the 10 years plus for the burglary charge. The judge made it very clear that he cannot bring back the death penalty, and that the only thing that he can do within the law, within the Idaho state legislature, is do a downward departure. So, a lot of people upset about that, and I'm sure that we'll talk about it, but we're looking at just him serving life behind bars without the possibility of parole. He saves his own life after admitting to killing 4 others.
Matt Johnson, live for us there outside of the courthouse in Idaho. Thank you so much for that early update, even though you can't hear me. Thank you. Perhaps you can see me in your monitor. We appreciate you. We'll talk more later. I want to bring in now our legal analyst guest. He's a very high-profile criminal defense attorney. He also served as a prosecutor. Attorney Michael J. Brown is joining us live from New York. Michael, good morning to you. I want to ask you about the point that Matt Johnson just raised, something that I'm hearing a lot of people talk about. Yesterday was very unsatisfying, as you know, for the victims' families. They wanted to understand why. They wanted to understand more about how this happened and whether it was planned for years, for months, for, whatever the case may be. And he didn't talk. And so that raises an important legal question, as you know. Do you think prosecutors could have done any more in the negotiation of this plea agreement to make him offer up some more details about what he did?
Well, Julie, good morning. They could have done potentially a proffer in exchange for this promise of not seeking the death penalty before they actually walked into the court and finalized the actual disposition. And they could have had these conversations in their office with some type of agreement in place. It's unusual. And I think if anything is going to happen in terms of these answers that I know the victims' families are really interested in hearing, that could happen at the sentencing part of it. And keep in mind, I know here in New York, we have what's called a pre-sentence investigation by the probation department, where they get into the details with the defendant, and that report is issued to the judge. And I'm sure Idaho has a very similar type of situation. That report could very well contain the information that we're talking about. I don't expect Kohberger himself, though, to give up that at the time of sentencing.
Interesting point, Michael. So let's talk about that more. So we know that he's waiving all his rights to appeal anything. So that removes the danger of, oh gosh, what if I say something at sentencing? We often run into that with defendants. We talk about it all the time here. Oh, they don't want to say anything or even apologize because that would be admitting guilt. They're looking at taking an appeal. Here, wouldn't affect him legally. Tell me why you think he may not offer anything up.
Yeah, you're exactly on point, Julie. If you go to trial and get convicted, you have to be cautious because on appeal now, if you at sentencing admitted to all your guilt, it kind of kills the issue. Here it's a negotiated plea, so he did waive his right to appeal. It's all done. He can certainly be frank. Why don't I think it will happen? We followed this case from the beginning, and I know you've been on top of this. He seems very diabolical. I can't imagine him coming into a courtroom and talking and professing his remorse and giving it all up. He just doesn't strike me as that type of individual. And it goes hand in hand with the heinous nature of the 4 murders. So although I don't know him from a hole in the wall, just watching him over the last course of the year or two, I doubt that that's going to happen, unfortunately.
That's such excellent analysis, Michael. You're right. Very observant. We've seen his behavior. We've had psychology experts coming on who've told us the behavior seems sociopathic. And watching him yesterday pretty much confirmed that for me. I'm sure for many others, that the way he just very calmly, yes, yes, no emotion, not a tear, not an I'm sorry, nothing from him. Sounds about right. Michael, I want to show you a statement from Kaylee Goncalves' family members. This is heartbreaking. They said the plea began with the defendant claiming responsibility for his actions with one-word responses. All were sufficient for the court and the prosecution team, because that is what this plea was about today, the court and the prosecution. This plea did not represent the victims' families. It represented an easy way out and no answers. We will move on to sentencing, and we will be hopeful that the court will allow for some much-needed grace moving forward. And finally, the family won't have to deal with the bumbling Latah County prosecution team. Wow. Michael J. Brown, what do you think when you hear that statement from this grieving and understandably angry family?
Julie, there's no right or wrong. These are families who lost their loved ones. So there's nothing they can say that's wrong. And I understand that part of it. Let's remember, Ann Taylor, the defense attorney, did a great job. She advocated for her client. She was zealous. She made some real good motions. She had the matter moved to a different venue. She did what she's supposed to do. But on the other side of this, the prosecution, they just secured a plea, 4 murder convictions, guarantee life in jail, and not have to put the families through the ordeal. And you and I know, Julie, when I say ordeal, that's an understatement of going to trial. This fellow will spend the rest of his living life in jail. I really do think the prosecution has secured a victory. As much as you can get a victory, I think that they did what they were supposed to do here.
Excellent analysis. Michael J. Brown, thank you so much for all of that. So fortunate to have you with us.